Hi, I'm Andrea. Welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. Glad to have you here. Today we really are going to use our chair. So first things first, a chair will be very beneficial for this practice. You could do it without a chair, but I'm just going to say chair, 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 chair. Also, I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, it's okay. Any place that's not too slippery will work. A couple of blocks. Great if you have them. If you don't, maybe thick books. And also something that you can pad your knees with and sit upon to make things a little bit more easeful. A folded blanket, could even be a big beach towel. Once you've got that, we will actually start seated in the chair that I mentioned. But imagine that we're sitting in chair in our mountain. Sit tall. Maybe even close your eyes. Find your breath here. See if you can breathe in and out through your nose. Just give it a try. Lean back a little bit. Smile your collarbones open, and as you do, feel a little lift of your low belly, even here seated. Notice if you're favoring one side of your breath or the other. And see if you can arrive at a breath that is an even inhale and an even exhale. Just as best you can. There's no right or wrong in this. We're just trying. Think of it as experimenting in our laboratory. It's not a test. Last couple moments here. Now you might need to scoot a little bit forward on your chair. I don't want you to be in a place where you're going to spill forward or lose your chair. Everybody's chair is a little bit different. And then once you're here, you're just going to shift a little bit of weight into your feet. Find that lift of your low belly and lean back down. It's almost like the on your mark, get set, go. Turn your palms away from each other. Find our stance as a mountain. Lean a little forward and then just see if you can lift your butt up off your chair and bring it back down. So we'll just play with that. And play is the key word. Coming up and then back down. It's important that we keep practicing coming out of our seat so that we can do that with ease and move up across the planet the way that we want to. A couple more just like this, just fun, just playful. Sort of like, well, I think I'll get up and go outside. Nah, actually, I'll stay here. One more time. Great. We'll add arms to it. So first, without standing up, inhale the arms overhead, a V shape, and then exhale your arms alongside your body. One more time like that. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape. And exhale the arms along your side. Ready? Inhale, V shape, hips above your seat. And then sit it back down. Let the exhale bring the arms alongside you. Very good. Inhale. And exhale. And now we're thinking about going outside and cheering for someone, I guess, right? Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Hooray. And then sit back down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. So good. Pause. Breathe. Find the majesty of your mountain. We'll linger a little bit longer on this next one. So inhale, V shape, and see if you can stay put. Let the weight be heavy in your heels. You can always sit back down on the chair if I get long-winded out here. And then sit back down and pause for a moment. Really good. One more time, just like that. Arms out to the side, V shape. Now my feet are hip distance. That's probably a pretty good bet for you too. See if we can linger here. No shrugging of shoulders into the ears, not when we're celebrating like we are. We're celebrating our escape from the chair. And then we do love the chair anyway, and we sit back down. We'll further the experiment, and I'm going to give you a bunch of different options. One is to stay here and keep doing what we were just doing. Another is to do it without any props at all, to just do our chair pose from standing. And the third option, if you have a wall nearby, is to make your way to the wall, because it can help you to lean back against the wall. Let me do a little housekeeping as I show you. So feet hip distance, and then you lean against the wall and take your seat with your arms to the sky, and then stand so you can lean your butt against the wall, make your way down, and then come back up. So it's sort of like a chair in that it's supporting you. So try it on for size, either in your chair, next to your chair without the wall, or along the wall where it might encourage you to lean back a little bit. What we don't want is to be forward and taxing our knees. So we're not tucking at the hips. That's where the wall might be informative. Now we're going to take a chair pose, and you'll either come out of your chair, lean against your wall, or be right here in the middle. And then pause with me. And we're going to linger a little while here. So those of you at the wall, lean back into your wall for any support that you want. You can always, every one of us, come out it early. So if you're at the wall, coming out of it early would be straightening your legs. And if you're seated in your chair, it would be sitting back into your chair. If you're in the middle of the room like I am, that would be standing up. See, I told you, I can get long-winded here sometimes. 2 more moments, you're doing great. Stand it up. High, strong legs. Stand with confidence into your mountain. We'll do that again. Arms out to the side, V-shape, hip distance for all of us, whether you're in your chair or against the wall. Now, maybe it feels better to widen your arms so you're not pinching your shoulders into your ears. You've got enough going on, don't you think? Pretend, even if you're not at a wall, that you're leaning your butt back into a wall a little bit, and see if you can lift all 10 toes. Just see. Remember, we're experimenting in our laboratory. Keep breathing. Can you find the even breath, even though you're sitting here in a chair that doesn't exist? And then stand it up and pause. There could be a little flutter of heart rate. Make sure you're not dizzy. Hand on a chair or sitting in the chair, always available to you. Pause for just a second. We're going to take one more, because they say good things come in threes. I don't know who they are or when they said it, but we'll just go with it. One more time. Chair pose. At your wall, from your chair, here in the middle of the room. Run the experiment of lifting all 10 toes. Pretend that you have a wall to shift your butt towards. Maybe a little bit wider with your arms feels better. And then it's just a game of endurance in our muscles, but also in our mind. Don't overstay your welcome. Just a little bit more challenge. Breathing. 3 more here. So good. We're rumbling some new power into our legs, don't you think? And so slowly stand it up. Whew. Breathe. Thankful that we're no longer in an imaginary chair. Some of us sitting in our actual chair. All good. Now, probably it's easiest if your mat is facing me. Mine is at a little bit of an angle. I'm trying to find the best way for me to do these things so that you can see me. You can have your chair at the front edge of your mat, or situate your 2 blocks tall at the front edge of your mat. So we've got our props figured out here. And then meet me at the front edge of your space. Take a few moments to recalibrate in your mountain. There was a lot in our legs, so thank your legs for all their strength. Chair pose, inhale, arms out to the side. You're now a chair pose professional. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands onto your thighs. Inhale your heart forward, just a little traction, pressing into your thighs, lengthening your spine. Take your hands either onto your tall blocks or onto the seat of your chair, and then step your left foot back, and we're in a lunge position. See if you can swing your right hip back, let your left hip move forward. Your right leg is going to be reminded of your chair poses because it is here in this bent knee, hip flexion position, but your back leg is so happy to have a different action. And we'll switch legs so they'll both get some love. Make a little bit more length happen through your spine as you inhale. Exhale, a little sense of ease into the equation. 2 more moments, really good. Now, step your left foot hip distance from your right foot. Hands to your thighs, inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hip. Inhale, rise and reach your legs straighten. Hallelujah is what you're saying as your arms come overhead. Stand into your mountain. Really great work, really strong work. Inhale, arms out to the side, chair pose. I know. Hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Now bring your hands to the base of your chair or onto your blocks. And this time step your right foot back. Left hip swings back, right hip swings forward a little bit. These are subtle things. You're standing into your left heel, and it reminds you just a little bit of the chair poses that you've done quite a few of this practice. And then just appreciate that your back leg is getting a counter stretch to what we've been up to. Find some length through your spine and breathe. You're going to have the strongest legs in town. 2 more moments here. Now firm through your feet and your belly. Right foot hip distance from left foot. Hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, hinge at your hips. And then inhale, rise and reach. This is our hallelujah moment. Arms along your side, pause for a moment. This is always a pause to digest what we've done so far. I think you'll like the next part. Bend your knees, chair pose. Maybe not this part, but what comes next. Hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Now hands to base of chair or onto your blocks. Step your left foot back. And this time, start to straighten your front leg. Now, we're not going to let our head get lower than our hips. It's our story and we're sticking to it. So what I do want you to find is a hip hinge, and then draw that right hip back and left hip forward. For the time being, press into your right big toe mound so you've got all 4 points of your right foot into your mat. And instead of thinking that you want your face to get close to the ground, because remember, we're not going lower than our hips, grow tall. Find your hip hinge, draw that right hip back, and you're going to get some juicy, well-deserved stretch on the back of your right leg after a slew of chair poses. Stay with me here for just a few more moments, because not to give away the surprise, but there are more chair poses in our future. So enjoy where we are right now before that moment arrives. Option, while we're here, and only if it works in your body, to dig your heel in and curl your toes back, and then you'll feel your calf muscle get involved. If that's wobbly or just doesn't suit you, keep your foot flat, it's great. 2 more moments. How's the even breathing going? Now, if you took the ball of your right foot off the ground, flatten your right foot and bend your knee, and then step your left foot hip distance from your right foot, hands to your thighs, inhale. Exhale, a little deeper hinge in the hip, and then inhale, arms to the side, and then to the sky V shape. Stand in your mountain. Second side of that, bend your knees, chair pose, inhale. Hands to thighs, hinge at the hips, and then let the inhale extend your heart. Either hands to the base of your chair or hands to your blocks. Step your right foot back and then begin to straighten slowly that front leg. Right now we've got a flat foot, even if you take the option later. Left big toe mound presses, left hip draws back, right hip draws forward. Remember, no head below the hips. Let it be especially interesting to grow tall in your spine, and as you do, you want to keep the low belly lifting so there's support. Just a few more moments like this. Remember, your hands can stay on the base of your chair the whole time if that's a better way to find some stability. If it worked on the first side and it's interesting on this side, dig your heel in, flex your left foot towards you, and then you're going to feel the calf muscle get a little bit more. If it's wobbly, I'd prefer that you feel some stability with your foot flat. Always when we go into mobility, which is a fancy way of saying stretching, we want to make sure that there's stability, which means foundation. And they meet in the middle. Being good at yoga means that you're willing to be in the middle ground, not that you're somehow a rubber band all of a sudden. Flatten the left foot and bend the left knee. Step your right foot hip distance from your left foot. Hands to your thighs, inhale. Exhale, hinge at your hips. And then inhale, rise and reach thumbs to the sky, V shape. Pause for a second in your mountain. I'm going to relocate my chair because I want to show you a lot of different ways that you can do our next pose. Some of you might opt to use the chair at some point. I'll turn and face you. I've also got a tall block that just might possibly be something that I use. You can use no props at all as well. Hip distance stance with our feet like we've been doing. Chair pose. Now this time in chair, bring a prayer in front of your heart. Think that you're at the wall and lean back with your butt a little bit. And then just start to turn to your left. Just turn to your left. That's plenty. What you don't want is for the whole thing to go with you. So try to imagine that your butt's against a wall and it's just in your waist that you're twisting. And then come back to center. Straighten your arms alongside your body, straighten your legs, and re-enter your mountain. Very good. So a little bit of a chair twist. We'll take the second side, and then I will give you the options I was talking about. Bend your knees for chair, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Hands in a prayer position. We stay upright, but you're leaning back. Remember when we lifted all of our toes? And then it's just your side waist muscles that are twisting you. And it won't go very far because there's no leverage, but there's actually great benefit to not using leverage and just using what's called our active range of motion. 2 moments, stand tall. We're still in our mountain. And then come to center, stand it up, and bring your arms along your side. Your legs getting sore? Mine are. You could sit this in your chair if your legs are tired and do the same thing that we just did, seated upright. If you feel like you want a little bit more oomph in your legs, come hip distance, take your prayer position and start to turn. Remember, we're using just the muscles. Now, a few different options here. We're still not going to have our head lower than our hips, but you could take your right elbow into your right inner thigh and twist a little bit here. We're not forcing at all. I think a really good idea is to take your hand to your chair and take your twist this way. Your chair could be in front of you, so it doesn't feel like too deep a twist. Mine needs to be off to the side, so it's not blocking your view of me. Take a couple moments, try to keep the hips square towards the front, like towards me. If it's too much with your arm up, just take your arm behind your back or return it to your prayer. And then come unwinding, carefully standing, and pause in your mountain. Is this the most chair poses you've ever done in one sit, so to speak? Bend your knees, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Remember, you can be in your chair, hands in a prayer, and then we just turn without any leverage. We're so cautious not to lower our head below our hips. You can take that elbow, left elbow on the inner thigh. You could take your hand to your chair. It might even be that you take your hand to a block. I neglected to say that on the first side. And remember, if this is starting to bring shoulder into the ear, just weave it behind your back. Stay with it a few more moments. Keep breathing into your twist. And then carefully unwind, stand into your mountain. So good. A sun salutation to take us to the floor. So just make sure that you're not going to trip on any props. I'm actually saying that more for my own benefit because I've made quite a mess here. Feet hip distance. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. And then exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Hands can go to the base of your chair or onto your blocks, but just gently bring yourself onto the ground. Move your props within reach, but out of the way. I'm going to move my mat right now, but you're not going to. I'm moving my mat so that you can see what I'm up to in more of a side view, and then I'll be moving it probably back to where I was. We'll see. I just want to give you the best view, like I said. So with your feet hip distance towards the front edge of your mat, take your hands behind you with your fingers facing you, and then just lift your heart. And that's, for some of us, maybe enough. All you're going to do is start to lift your hips as you press into your hands so that it starts to come away from knees into the chest, which is kind of what we're doing when we do a chair pose. And you'll lift your hips. They don't need to go as high as your knees. I don't want you to drop your head back. So just keep smiling over here at me. And then lower your hips onto your mat and pause just for a second. We'll do one more like that. If that was enough, just stay right here. It's perfect. If you've got the juice for it, lift your hips up a little bit, lift the low belly, no dropping of head back. And then gently lower your hips onto your mat. Really good. Find your folded blanket. That's likely going to be where you sit. Certainly for me it is. We're coming into a cross-legged seat. So I like to have a pretty good bench going on, like a pretty folded up blanket happening. Let's cross our right shin in front. Now, we're not crossing at the ankles so much as crossing so that ankles are underneath the knees. And then sit on your props. Appreciate that your legs are now getting a little stretch after lots of hard work. And this is a different thing happening in our hip than when we were what's called parallel in our chair pose. So this is a very good counter pose also. Sort of like the back leg in our lunge was. Take your hands into a prayer in front of your heart, just like we did not so long ago when we were in a chair pose. And then just turn to your left. Remember how we did that? Pause for a second here, turning to your left, noting that you have those side waist muscles. And then you can decide to take your right hand outside of your left thigh and your left arm behind your back if you'd like. It could even go onto the ground behind you or a block behind you. But I want to give you a moment where I'm a little bit more quiet and where you have a little tip of the hat to the twist that we did earlier in a seated cross-legged position. Really great. 2 more moments here. Still, we're not forceful at all in our twist. And every inhale is growing as tall. Every exhale is that little loving nudge. And then slowly unwind. Inhale your arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, and then just bring a prayer in front of your heart. Turn to the right with your prayer in front of your heart. pause for a second and feel that active range of motion before we add our leverage. And then it's left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Right arm behind your back if that feels good, or on the ground behind you. Maybe a block is helpful. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, a little teeny bit more of a twist. And then we tinker here in our laboratory. Stay for a few moments. Last couple of rounds of breath. Feel yourself grow tall on your inhale. Little loving nudge on the exhale. And then gently unwind. Recross your legs with the left shin in front. You can get a little bit of flex in your feet, so curl the toes back towards you, palms up or down. We sit and meditate. So I said earlier that we want to be able to get up out of our chair, because we do. We want to wander out into the world. But we also need to sit and sit with ourselves sometimes, so that when we wander out into the world, we don't get thrown about. We know where we sit. Let's take this time to turn inward, to know where we sit. And close your eyes if you're comfortable with it. 1 full minute here. Now you have the option to stay here in your seated meditation, or to lie down and spill across the floor into your final Shavasana meditation. Whichever place you are, let yourself let go. You did such beautiful work. I really cheered you up today. Find your final meditation. Know that I'll bring you out of it in just a moment. You're welcome to stay here in seated meditation, or to remain in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you feel that you're ready, stretch your arms and legs away from one another. Maybe draw your knees into your chest. Roll gently to either side out of your Shavasana. And join us here in a seated cross-legged position, or even sitting in your chair, something comfortable. And just take a second and notice how you feel. You're all chaired up. And let this inspire you to come out of your chair and step out into the world with a smile. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. We'll do it again soon.